everyone. I'm Lisa Ackerman, Director of Columbus Citizens Foundation, and I'm joined tonight by Alessia Bottone, who's a journalist and film director and a creative person in many pursuits, and has a special interest in our contemporary social issues. I hope everybody has watched La Napoli di Mio Padre and has enjoyed it. I had the pleasure of watching it a few times as I was getting ready for tonight and thinking about the conversation we would have. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Alessia right away to just tell us a little bit about some of the work she's done in journalism and what motivated her to make this particular film.
Okay, hello everybody. So as Lisa said, I'm a journalist and I've always been focused on social issues. And 2 years ago, in 2018, I discovered a program for a young filmmaker, which is Premio Zavattini. Zavattini is, was a famous Italian screenwriter. And there was this kind of possibility to realize a documentary with archive images, so from Istituto Luce, Archivio Amod, so all pictures and images and videos from 60 years, 50 years. So I decided to start this new experience, because it was a new experience for me, because I used to use the camera, I mean, to do the fiction, as we can say, and then I realized my father's Napoli, La Napoli di Mio Padre, inspired to my father's story, and I really would like to know later what you think, and if you understand, because I know that there are English subtitles, but maybe some words in Napolitan are not so easy to understand.
So, you know, I'm curious too. So last month, congratulations, your documentary won the Nastri d'Argento for short documentaries. So that's an incredible validation when you make a very personal narrative, as is the case with this documentary that you created, but also to have the validation of this very prestigious award. So I'm sure it was very stiff competition, and I'm sure you're proud of your work, but you also must have had moments of doubt about the film, and then to have the validation of the Premio must have been quite something. So tell us a little bit about, you know, how you got into the competition and what you thought when you won.
Absolutely. Well, to be honest, Nastri d'Argento is a special prize in the sense that you cannot try to participate, but the board find your movie in the festival. So if they see your movie in the festivals and if they decide that is a nice movie, they give you a prize, which is very difficult because you cannot send the movie. You only have to wait and to hope, especially. So when I received the email saying the names of the winners, believe me, I didn't think about I was the winner. I only was looking for the name of the winners, and then I saw La Napoli di Mio Padre, and I was in an online video meeting on Zoom as I saw. So can you give me 5 minutes because I have to understand what happened? I mean, you know, Nastri d'Argento is like most of the Cinema di Venezia. It's something very, very big and especially very important for film director and screenwriter because it helps you to be at national level, if we can say. So it helps you for the next movies and something like that. So I'm very proud, very happy. The last month was a very, very good celebration. And at the same time, as you say, when I was working on this movie, sometimes I thought, okay, something about my family, maybe it's not something universal. But at the end, everybody told me the same thing. I thought your story is like something that I feel also, something universal. So maybe this is, if we can say, the secret of the movie. Well, of all the movies, because all the movies that we remember are the movies that talk about us, I think. And yes, at the end, it's okay. It's super. That's
well,
what
it's
I want
great.
to say.
And we hope you win many future awards as well. And so, you know, we hope that you're going to have a lot of projects to come and talk to us about. And I want to ask you one other question kind of about the film in the broad sense before we talk about some of the specifics. So you had this challenge that you had to work with archival imagery, but you had to decide as the director on a look and feel for the film. So the film has a very nice uniform feel of this kind of historic imagery, and you really feel like you're looking at family photos and family footage. It has a very personal feel, and I can't imagine that was easy. I mean, you had to go through a lot of imagery to come up with that look, and I'm just curious how you made some of those decisions and what you had in your mind when you started.
Yes, so I think I saw more than 4,000 videos with a new solution. I mean, I had two computers and watching at the same time two videos in order to find all the material I need. Because, for example, I wrote the screenwriting, sorry, is
yes.
the name. And if you do fiction, you wrote the screenwriting and you decide what you are going to do. But if you find on the website, on the material, you have to find something which is something that talk about, but is not the same thing. So I had to change my screenwriting a lot of time. But to be honest, it's almost the same of the beginning. And in this documentary, there are more than 70 documentaries and films, and also some movies from Pasolini and Cecilia Mangini. So I really had this chance to work with Istituto Luce, that I have more than 7,000 videos only at digital level, because then they have so many videos that are not on the web and that came from the beginning of the cinema. So you have the access to our memory, which is amazing. And no, it's really amazing because it's a way to learn the story. Actually, you can use the books and you can use those images. It's incredible. And yes, as you said, sometimes people ask me if those images are from my archive. I mean, they ask me, but it's you? No, it's no one is us, but at the same time, the way they are constructed together, and thanks to Martina Dalla Mura, who did this amazing job, they are like our story. They talk about us, they are us. Now they are us.
Right. Well, I'm also curious. So in the United States, as in many countries, there's a kind of North and South divide. And usually it means people from the North think they're far superior to the people from the South. And as you and I discussed, many Italian Americans have their roots in the south of Italy. And I know you grew up in Verona, in the Veneto. So when you make a movie like this too, I imagine you had to be a little conscious of you're a Northerner telling a story about Naples, probably one of the most iconic southern cities of Italy. And so I wonder, were there challenges there too, where you looked at some images and you thought, this isn't the right image for the story I'm telling about Naples?
Okay, very good question. To be honest, I as you say, I was born in Verona, but I always been fan, if we can say fan, of Naples. Since I was very young, I used to go to Naples. So I really know this city, not as a citizen, of course, but as a tourist, well aware about where she's going. And then I had all those stories of the families, because as you say, in the South, there are a lot of son and daughter and uncle. So we are a lot. And I had the chance to know this city without leaving this city. So when I was looking for the images, I was like, I was trying to construct a city that was good for Alessia Bottone, which comes from Verona. I mean, the story is something tell about my father, because it's the story of my father, but with the eyes of the daughter, which want to know more about her city, because this is the one of the messages. Learn about her origins, learn about where she came from. And now when I am at the festival, I have been registered as a filmmaker from the South. They consider me from the South. So I get the objective. Now I'm really Italian, 50 from the North and 50 from the South. Which is amazing for my country, because as you said, we have a really big issue between the North and the South. Still.
Well, yeah, a lot of countries seem to have that divide. So it must be a very human response somehow. I want to ask you about a couple of moments in the film that really struck me. One was when you have, the narrator speak about the father's presence in the family, and the person says, I realized he was always with us, but not present. And I think a lot of us have experiences like that in our lives, where you suddenly realize you can spend a lifetime with somebody, but you've never truly, penetrated into their soul somehow. And that was literally a moment where, I kind of felt my breath stop for a moment in that, it was a very powerful, poignant moment in the film. And I'm, again, you were telling a story that was, true, but still fictionalized, and you were having a lot of these elements. And that seems like it would have been a very hard scene to write in a lot of ways.
In general, I really like to try, because we have to say to try to understand people. I mean, we always have a mask and we always present us in a way, but the richness is to understand what they really feel, what they really think. And especially about my father, which was always with us. Really, it was always with. I'm not the only daughter. I have a brother, but at the same time was someone who really want to travel, to discover. Still now, which is 60 and is more adult. Now she still want to understand, to learn, to travel, to do so many things. So for me, it was kind of trying to understand what I really think, what I really feel about the city, about what he see in front of this, in the window. And then 30 years later, I stay at the window looking for something. And now I understand what he saw. So maybe sometimes you don't need to talk, you only need to grow up sometimes, and then to feel your father, your mother, to understand them. Because in the movie I talk about that. Mm-hmm. Your father and your mother, they are always with you, even when you try to don't be same as them, but then they are with you.
Well, and I think one of the other scenes that similarly really made me stop and think is, again, the character makes a very sophisticated social comment that as their standard of living improved, the doors closed. And when we were talking before tonight's event, I said to you that that's very true in the United States as well, that as your station in life improves and you have more money and more opportunities, you move away from a certain kind of collective lifestyle and you move progressively into a larger home. You may move out of the city center, and you actually, in some ways, may move to a place that's very foreign to how you grew up. And so I thought that was a very strong comment about society, embedded in, again, this very personal film, but it took you right away to a kind of universal truth.
When I wrote this sentence, I didn't think it was universal. I understand that after the movie. I thought it was something about related to my father and to my way to feel the things. I'm not saying that when we are rich we live worse. I wasn't trying to say that. I was only trying to say that sometimes when we get a better life and maybe we change the area, we live in a better place, we stay. Maybe sometimes we try to do the same that the other people in order to be accepted, because we know that we came from another era, maybe from another class, or maybe from other economic conditions. So we need to prove that we have the right to stay there. So maybe I thought that my grandmother did the same. Maybe inside her, she want to have the same number of people as before in the apartment, maybe inviting people, but at the same time, she has the fear to be judged by the new people, like having 20 people having lunch together in the new area, was not the best way to be accepted. But at the same time, she's struggling to be accepted, but at the same time, she knows that she doesn't speak Italian, but only dialect, because she didn't have the chance to go to school. So sometimes the integration is not all the same ways as the solution is.
Right. Yes. And I mean, it's not that it's not good or bad. It's just you suddenly find yourself in a different place. And it made me think of, so I come from the cultural heritage world. And so one of the sort of Bibles of the cultural heritage world is a book called The Past is a Foreign Country. And it, that scene made me think of that too, that, when you're studying other cultures or the past, you kind of isolate them, and we don't think of our own lives having that same level of isolation sometimes. But, as you move through stages in your life, in a lot of ways, you're picking up and moving, to a different country psychologically, even if not physically. And so I again thought that was a really beautiful moment in the film. And I think one other area in the film where both visually and through the dialogue, where you kind of had that same feeling of you were talking about immigration in one moment of time, but it's a very universal story about immigration even today. And, you don't always think about what makes somebody get up and leave their home country and go somewhere else where the culture is different, the language is different, and what that means both for the country you're leaving behind and the country you're going to. And both Italy and the United States are in the midst of major immigration discussions because of the circumstances of the last decade. And so I thought there too, while visually there's a lot that's embedded in one moment of time, it's a story we're telling today. And with your background in journalism, I was curious, when you went into the film, were you thinking very much about the immigration circumstances today, or were you thinking only about that story of the past of immigration?
The question, sorry, can you repeat only the question?
When you were doing the film and you got to the immigration, were you thinking about the past, or were you thinking with your journalist hat on today about what's happening with immigration today?
Well, to be honest, migration has always been my topic, because a few years ago, like 10 years ago, I think, I worked in Switzerland in an asylum seeker center. And then I met those people and had this experience, which is not like journalism, because when you do an interview, okay, you write a story and then you go home. But working in an asylum seeker center was like having so many stories, experience from people from all ages, all countries, so many different languages. Sometimes it was very hard to understand them because they didn't speak English or French or Spanish, nothing. So when I was there, I thought, okay, I think someday I will do maybe a documentary, maybe a special service about this topic. And then when I was working on my father's story, I thought, and I was looking for these images now of the 60 years, people from Naples going to Germany, they don't speak German, they travel alone, leaving their families in Italy. I thought that it was the same experience of Switzerland. It was the same thing. So I did the research. I called the NGO, an NGO, and they sent me 8 hours of images of Sicily, of Greece, and all the migrants of the New Year's. And I put that together, and I thought it was the same story. Nothing changed. Only the countries changed, but it's the same story. It's the same topic. So I thought it was perfect for me doing this kind of comparison now between both.
Absolutely. And what does your family think of the film?
My family, well, the voice is from my father. So I worked with him for 3 years because he's not an actor. So he had to learn how to do this. And it was amazing working with my father, really. It was a very, very big experience. And I really like him. He really liked the movie. He asked me to not watch it before the end and before the first festival. And then
okay.
Yes, absolutely. He was scared, but not for him, but for me. Because he hoped that the movie was good, I mean, for the public. And then we went to a festival in the south of Italy, the first one. And then when he saw people watching to the movie and then clapping for the movie, they, okay, everything is fine. And then he told me that it was very good. He really liked it.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
It's his story. So I try to write with tatto. I don't know how you say tatto, with sensitivity, no?
Yeah, tact.
Tact. Thank you.
But well, it is a beautiful film, and I have to say I watched it the first time quite a while ago when Dr. Joseph Scelsa from the Italian American Museum first introduced us, and I watched it then, and I kind of tucked it away. And then once we scheduled this, I watched it 2 more times, and it, even though it's a short film, each time I watched it, I saw something that I hadn't seen the time before. So I'm really going to encourage our members, if they haven't seen it, to definitely watch it, because it is a beautiful story. Since we're a relatively small group, I'm actually going to see if any of our audience members have any questions for you. And I know one of our audience members is Taylor Taglianetti, who's also an emerging filmmaker. And she usually has a question, and she is not shy. So I'm hoping that she might share a question with us.
Great.
Uh-oh, unless Taylor has left us. I don't see her on anymore. Uh-oh. Well, so she was on before.
Anna. Her name is Anna. No, I don't see Anna.
No, I don't see her either. She was on before. I should have checked first. Well, we'll see.
No problem.
So does anybody have a question they'd like to ask Alessia? Oh, a shy group. Somebody has written in, will you be producing more movies?
Yes, I'm working on a new movie in Sicily, but now I'm writing it. I'm only writing it. I think it will take a lot of time, and we'll use a new technique, and will be half fiction and half archive material, like Martin Eden. I don't know if you saw the movie Martin Eden. It's about Naples. It's about voilà. So I'm going to do this kind of movie about a family, a Sicilian family, and trying to explain the women point of view of the Italian society in the 30 years.
Oh, wow. That's going to be something that we'll definitely want to follow once it's ready. So we have a few more questions. Do you film movies in the US? Have you done anything outside of Italy yet?
No, not yet, but I'm available whenever you want.
And then another person has written in, just wanted to say that I thought it was a beautiful film. The old images were amazing to view. Yes, they definitely put you in, a certain time and place.
Thank you, Marilena.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I am very happy to see Mary write into us. We were actually roommates in college.
Ah, nice. Wow.
So, you know, it's always good to have friends stick with you through thick and thin. You know, I'm curious about some of the work you've done as a journalist. Are there, you know, topics you've covered as a journalist that you might like to explore in short films or documentaries in the future?
Well, this movie that they in Sicily, the new one, at the same time will be a movie, of course, but will explore a social issue. I mean, I think this is going hard to explain. I will try. Maybe Lisa, you will help me. So, as you know, in Italian culture, the Italian culture still have some stereotype about women, about about family. So I will try to explain why we still are in a bad situation. I mean, not in a bad situation, is we are still looking for the progress now for the future for women because of what we have lived in the last century. So that's what I'm going to try to do. So this is a social issue, social topic. So also in my movies, I try to explore this kind of topics. And a lot of time I work about women issues because I think they need this kind of documentaries. I don't know your situation, but in Italy we are still trying to lottare, fighting for some kind of rights.
Yeah, well, I would say that in the US, you know, we've come a long way in the last 30 years. And so, I mean, we have a female vice president for the first time in the United States. And here in New York City, we came very close to having a female mayor. So we just had the primary in June. And the person who was announced yesterday as the likely new mayor is a man, but the person who was in the second slot and the person who was in the third slot, they were both women. So, you know, probably not too far in the future. And I think, you know, we have a lot of women senators and congresswomen in the United States today, and a lot of women business leaders. So it's changing here. You know, nothing is ever perfect. It takes a while. And then two more questions. In Italy, do you have to have a college degree to be a film director?
No, you don't have. And maybe if you are a genius, maybe you can do the film director also when you are 19 years old. It's not obliged, no, to do this. But at the same time, there are some schools that help you to be a film director, because there are so many film directors in Italy, as you know, because films are our tradition. So if you do some kind of schools, it will be better to get this kind of job. I didn't do this kind of school, by the way. No, because I started as a journalist, so it's different for me.
So Taylor is with us. She's just not able to speak at the moment because she's actually at the DMV, which will mean something to our audience. To you, it's the Department of Motor Vehicles where you go to get your driver's license. So Taylor is being tortured probably right now, but she's written in two questions. What are your thoughts? Oh, Taylor has appeared on the screen, even though she's probably not supposed to use her phone at the DMV. So what are your thoughts on the climate for short films?
And what are your thoughts about
For short films? Invece di film lunghi, questo motivo di film corti.
Okay. Well, short movies, because to do this kind of movie took 2 years, because it's not the normal kind of movies. It takes so many time to find this kind of material. So, and it's very, very expensive, because it takes like 200 euro per minute of this material. So do a documentary of 50 minutes or 90 minutes, it will take like 8 years. For example, like my teacher, she did a very good movie, but it took 8 years. At the same time, I couldn't take all this time because I was in a prize. So I was like in a program So I had 1 year to realize it. But at the same time, I think that for this kind of topic, 20 minutes was enough for this kind of topic.
And is there an audience for short films like this in Italy?
Yes, and there are a lot of festivals about short movies, specialized in short movies, specialized in documentaries, specialized then in long movies. Of course, long movies has more audience.
Sure. And then 2 related questions that are in the chat. One is, do streaming platforms, like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, do streaming platforms like that have a category for short films or documentaries?
Yes, they have now Amazon Prime especially, and I think Netflix also. But my documentary is not considered like short movie, but more documentary.
Right.
So maybe for Netflix will be okay, but then maybe Rai and Mediaset, as I see here, no, Rai and Mediaset, they have not short movies. It's not their kind of topic, not right now. It's only for people addetti ai lavori, people from this kind of.
Right. So for the area that you're interested in, a lot of it is probably going to be festivals and social media promotion and word of mouth in a lot of ways, just letting people know that the film is out there.
Oh yes, I did it by myself, by the way, and because I didn't find the right distribution, we can say, so I realized it by myself. And I get to 50 festivals in 9 months. It's okay
phenomenal.
for the moment. And then it went to Brazil, to France. We have in English, we have in Spanish, in Portuguese, in French. So 5 languages. It's quite enough. For the first really documentary, it's okay. Then we will see with the next one.
That's great. Well, I don't want to keep you too long because it's very late in Italy, and you were very kind to stay up with us.
No, it's okay. I get you.
It was fantastic to talk to you, and really congratulations on the success you're having. And I hope very much that we'll have reasons to invite you back to talk to us very soon. And good luck with the project you're working on for women in Sicily.
Absolutely, man. Maybe will be our next topic, Alisa.
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It has been very nice.
Great. All right. Buonanotte.
Buonanotte to everybody. And thank you for watching it.
Great. See you soon.
See you soon. Ciao.
Ciao.